There are real college basketball players filling out the basketball scenes in this movie, and it shows. Guys like Bobby Hurley, Albert Cheney, current Purdue coach Matt Painter, Rick Fox, and George Lynn.
All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you all having a good night so far. Hope you guys had a good day. I'm still a little under the weather. Actually, I'm pretty under the weather tonight, but I figured that is a good reason to just watch something really chill and fun. And recently, I've noticed I've mentioned the movie Blue Chips multiple times because of something related to Shaq or Penny in a video. And I realized, one, it's been a long time since I watched it. I think I'm going to watch it tonight after I do this video. But two, a lot of you remember this movie very fondly as well as I do. And those who don't know, this is where Shaq met Penny Hardaway. They didn't know they were going to be playing together, but the chemistry they had on the court during filming was what prompted Shaq to basically pressure the Orlando Magic into drafting Penny Hardaway, and the rest is history. But this is a fantastic basketball movie, not just because of the cast, but like it's actually really, really good. But anyways, this is called Blue Chips is Wildly Underrated. It's by a channel called The Dime Drop. Never heard of this channel, but the first comment said, I think I like this channel more than some of my relatives. So I figured it's probably a trustworthy channel. So anyways, I wanted to watch this with you guys and just kind of kick back here. So I'm gonna link the original video down below if you guys want to check this out, or if I might subscribe to this channel after the video depending on how I like it. But if you guys like it too, the link is there so you can check out their other content. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. Yeah, let's kick back and enjoy this one. The Dime Drop.
On February 18th, 1994, just a few weeks before the 1994 NCAA tournament, Paramount Pictures released a somewhat legendary movie called Blue Chips.
Yes. Oh, man. Saw this in theaters.
The movie was written by Ron Shelton, who also wrote heavy hitters like White Men Can't Jump.
No way. Okay, so this guy made two of my favorite movies.
Bull Durham and Tin Cup. And it was directed by William Friedkin, who in the past had done a quaint little coming-of-age story called The Exorcist.
No.
The movie starred People magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for 1992, the flammable and furious Nick Nolte. No
I used to love the 48-hour movies.
offense to my man Nick Nolte, but 1992 must have been a somewhat unsexy time. Nolte plays a once glorious coach named Pete Bell, who's on the hot seat after a couple of subpar seasons at a fictional school called Western University. This sudden valley has resulted in a sudden spike in pressure to right the ship, and Coach Bell ends up bending some of his own personal beliefs about the sport in order to get back on top. In the Dime Theater, I'm going to attempt to create a hierarchy of basketball movies through something that I've created called
Dude, the GOAT.
I'm going to attempt to create a hierarchy of basketball movies through something.
GOAT sighting. Man. It's good to see my boy Teen Wolf get some recognition up in here.
Thing that I've created called the Cinematic Basketball Quality Rating. It'll measure the quality of the basketball on screen, the overall cultural impact of the film, and the quality of the movie. Let's get started.
Hey man, this movie was ahead of its time because years later, a lot of stuff that was going on, and man, my brain is not well right now. Where the hell? Where was the Fab Five, you guys? My brain is just not doing it. But like a lot of stuff that was going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about, money wise, buying cars for the players and stuff like that to convince them to stay. A lot of stuff was going on that we didn't know about, and this movie touched up on it and kind of exposed some of it. I don't know if it was intentional or not. Teen Wolf is the GOAT.
You got two choices when you're making a sports movie. Option number one, you hire great actors who can add gravity to the non-sports scenes and do some camera trickery to cover it up.
I was literally quoting White Man Can't Jump to a friend of mine earlier today on the phone. And I was like, you can't hear Jimmy. You can listen to Jimmy, but but you can't hear Jimmy. They had no idea what the hell I was talking
I've seen
about.
this move many times. Option number 2, you cast real players who can give the athletic scene some actual credibility and just hope that their acting is passable enough to keep the movie from outright sucking. Occasionally you can find actors that check both boxes, but they're rare. The basketball scenes in Blue Chips were filmed in an enormous high school gym called Case Arena, which is in Frankfort, Indiana. The place seats just over 5,000 people. And guess what? Your boy went there to see it for himself.
No way. Anybody who knows Indiana, how far is that away from like French Lick, where Bird came from? Well, that's pretty big for a high school. That's really big for a high school.
Obviously, I got some shots up.
Nice.
Look, I had on a button-up and jeans. Everybody chill. In the area...
No, it's not about that. It's your form, but it's all good, dude.
I got some shots up.
I mean... Okay, yeah, it was that little shift to the right. Outside of that, you had kind of a Bird thing going on there.
Look, I had on a button-up and jeans.
Hey, man. You iced it, so I'll shut up.
They chill. In the area of realistic basketball, Blue Chips really excels, and there's a simple explanation for that. There are real college basketball players filling out the basketball scenes in this movie, and it shows. Guys like Bobby Hurley, Albert Chaney, current Purdue coach Matt Painter, Rick Fox and George Lynch, Allen Houston. These players were being coached by actual Division I basketball coaches, guys like George Raveling, Bobby Knight, and Rick Pitino. These were organized games with highly experienced players and coaches, and everyone was told to actually try and win.
Yeah.
It is a movie.
That's one of the cool things. Shaq and Penny both talked about it. This was real basketball being played. And that's why, like, the Shaq and Penny chemistry was like... This was for real because it wasn't scripted. These things were happening while they were actually just hooping. And I think that's awesome. By the way, the unsung hero is the third guy, the dude who I think he comes from Indiana. He's totally a Bird knockoff in this movie. But it just goes to show all you need for a successful team. 1, solid coaching. 2, a playmaker. 3, a guy who can shoot. 4, a big man. Like a solid big man. That's all this team had, and that's all they needed. They covered the entire court.
So the games would be edited to show the desired outcome, but the basketball looks real because it is real. No movie has ever done that. Bobby Knight famously took the game seriously enough that he intentionally sabotaged the last play of the movie. The play call was intended to be a sideline out of bounds. With about 12 seconds left and Western University down by 1, the inbounder was supposed to cut to the right low block and displace Shaq to the high post. Shaq was then supposed to get a back screen, spin off of it, and dive hard towards the rim to receive a lob from Penny Hardaway. Huge dunk, huge applause. Knight, in typical Knight fashion.
It's so funny. This is very reminiscent of Kobe to Shaq against the Blazers to win the game.
Supposed to get a back screen, spin off of it, and dive hard towards the rim to receive a lob from Penny Hardaway. Huge dunk, huge applause. Knight, in typical Knight fashion, forced them to do the scene twice, which apparently really enraged an already excitable William Friedkin. So the story goes, Knight told his players to disrupt Shaq's path to catch that game-winning lob. If you want to talk about believable basketball,
that's awesome.
Bob Knight choosing to be an asshole so that he could prove that he's not a pushover is about as authentic as it gets.
It's so Bobby Knight, too. I love it.
Coach Knight could not have been a bigger jackass that day. And I've told him that too. Like, God dang, were you an ass that day.
Knight, Friedkin, and Nolte all on the same set is just incredible to think about.
Right.
The stories that must have come out of that shoot. Nick Nolte is one of the best on-screen basketball coaches that we've ever had. It's well known that he spent a ton of time with Bobby Knight during the 1992 season, and if anyone was going to capably impersonate Bobby Knight on screen, it's Nick Nolte.
Yeah, I didn't know he was shadowing Bobby Knight. That's really cool. No, Nick Nolte was actually believable. The whole movie is believable. That's what makes it so special.
Speeches were pitch perfect to things that Knight would have done. Another neat detail in this movie is that you can see Pete Newell, who's a legendary coach, sitting next to Nolte on the bench during the games, where he supposedly told Nolte when to get up and go yell at an official, or what to say to this or that player for this or that reason. This all contributed to the realism that comes off in those scenes. This is a nitpick, but in terms of the sound...
Dude, this is like the most 90s thing ever. I love it. Hooping with a brick wall background. Like, this is so 90s at its peak.
Contributed to the realism that comes off in those scenes. This is a nitpick, but in terms of the sounds in a game environment, I'm always amused by the use of Foley sound in this movie, specifically when the players are finishing at the rim. If someone softly lays a basketball into the hoop, you're not going to get a dramatic swish sound.
Yeah.
The basketball scenes in Blue Chips were...
Hey, man, every movie back then, too, if you threw a punch, it went... or... and punches don't sound like that, dude. But it sound great like that in movies.
Handled brilliantly. And in that sense, the movie is more or less unrivaled. It has yet to be topped. Even though Blue Chips fell short of being an all-out cultural phenomenon affecting non-basketball fans and basketball fans alike, within the basketball world, Blue Chips is still an iconic film. You can still buy a Butch McRae or a Neon Boudeau jersey.
No
Action
way.
Bronson actually made a mixtape called Blue Chips. Most interesting to me, though, is the fact that Blue Chips actually had an enormous causal impact on the NBA. The filming of this movie took place in the summer of 1993, which was after Shaq's rookie season in the NBA. He was already a gigantic marketing superstar by this point, to the point that the poster for the movie actually featured him as the co-lead of the film. Here's some wild what-if territory for you. If Chris Webber hadn't called the timeout during that infamous national championship game between
Oh, yeah, so back to my earlier thing when I was drawing a blank because of Michigan.
Michigan and North Carolina, he might have been in Blue Chips, and it's possible that we might have never seen the Shaq Penny era.
Wow.
Webber was the biggest college basketball star at the time of the filming of this movie, having just been a part of the Fab Five, and the filmmakers apparently really wanted him to be involved.
I mean, the movie is kind of about the Fab Five in a weird way, so that would have made perfect sense.
Of all the things that happened because Penny and Shaq became friends on the set of that movie.
Yeah.
The Warriors don't trade those picks to the Magic, which then got sent all over the place and turned into multiple high-quality players, one of which was Vince Carter, who's still playing today. We got the series between Chicago and
Okay, this was 5 years ago.
Orlando in 1995 that ultimately caused one of the greatest I Am Super Pissed seasons of all time from MJ in 1996.
Yeah, the revenge tour.
To that point, Webber and Shaq were apparently in constant communication, and that communication stopped, according to Webber, when Shaq ran with Penny Hardaway in some of those infamous Blue Chips pickup games.
Well, you think if Blue Chips didn't come out, and Shaq didn't play with Penny, then Shaq would have told Orlando to draft you instead of Penny?
Oh, I know it. It's a fact.
It is a fact. Yeah. I heard it. I heard it from Shaq as well. They were gonna take Chris Webber, but Shaq basically said, "All right, if you don't get me Penny, then that's it. Next contract, I'm out of here." And he made that threat, and they drafted Penny.
Ron Shelton is considered by many to be the best cinematic sports writer of all time, and his realism and his approach to cultural issues are a big reason why. His characters don't live in cringy, trope-filled heroic arcs of redemption. They face unceremonious ups and downs, and he really seems to enjoy writing about the role that sports can play in the plight of a desperate person. I do think that an important question about this movie is, would it have been better without the cameos and the star players? The cameos are constant throughout the movie, and the acting is pretty decisively bad. Dick Vitale's big Hollywood moment goes on for way too long and wouldn't be there if he weren't such a big celebrity in the college game. The scenes with the competing coaches are amusing, mainly because of Nolte, but amazingly terrible. Also, why were all of these college coaches trying to have a meeting with Butch McRae after one high school game? They couldn't spread it out at all? My favorite is Larry Bird, who immediately waves and smiles ear to ear when he hears a voice on his property before he even has a moment to realize who it is.
Wait, I don't remember Bird in there, but he's in Indiana to go see this dude, so it makes perfect sense. Like I said, it's been many years since I've watched it. I definitely think I'm going to watch this tonight.
Of the players, Matt Norver did fine. Shaq was stiff but charming enough to get by. And Penny Hardaway had the emotional range of a snow shovel.
If I left school, would my mom lose her house and job?
Tony's acting was so stiff in the dorm room scene that apparently William Friedkin literally slapped him in the face to get the performance he wanted.
Damn.
Other than the slapping of the face, all of that is fine. We got through it, but it does stick out. And to the non-sports fan, the charm of the, hey, it's that one guy, isn't there. It's just terrible acting. There are two voices at war in Blue Chips. The first voice is the one contending that college basketball is a virtuous pursuit at its core and that the presence of money has corrupted that. The other voice
Good Lord, if they could see what's happened in 2024, it has changed a lot.
Is the voice of JT Walsh's character, RIP, who's a visible, vocal alumnus and a booster for the program. He explicitly addresses the absurdity of Bell's hypocrisy, pointing out that the players bring in millions of dollars to the school and that he, the coach, benefits directly from that in a variety of ways.
We owe them this money.
I mean, it's hard. I don't necessarily like what's going on right now. However, they do owe them the money. You know, they really do. They're getting the college sports is very lucrative, and they're making money off the likeness of these players. And these players weren't getting a penny unless it was done under the table. The system was kind of messed up, but it still is kind of messed up now. I don't know what the solution is.
Scenes between Walsh and Nolte are by far the most well-performed, and those bits of exposition communicate the entire thesis and dilemma of the movie. There's very little subtlety between them, and it's hard to look away from the explosiveness of their chemistry.
Yeah.
Really, it's miraculous that anyone is surprised that we're in this situation as fans and supporters of college basketball. A hugely valuable...
What was that?
We're in this situation.
Porn star's lawyer says Nike paid Sharona Sampson. Zion Williamson's mom accused. What? Porn star lawyer says Nike paid Sharona Sampson. What is Zion's mom accused of here 5 years ago?
Situation as fans and supporters of college basketball. A hugely valuable workforce starts standing up for their value when they see that their employers desperately need them to succeed and are living lavish lifestyles built on double standards.
Yeah.
You'd have to be living in some kind of moral utopia for that to continue to happen. If the status quo had remained the same since the dawn of the sport, I could see where Coach Bell is coming from, but it hasn't. The moment that TV and shoe money started to pour into college basketball, the game changed.
And gambling. You know, well, once you do that, then the people who are out there performing need to get paid. It's only right.
But the rules didn't. We're talking about archaic rules that address a status quo that no longer exists. Also, Pete Bell is disgusted by the money, but he immediately goes to a shoe guy to find players. It paints a fairly accurate portrait of what the sport is like, navigating the most tolerable, unsavory elements to preserve the savory ones, and hoping that you come out with a clear conscience on the other side. This ultimately proved to be too much of a challenge for Coach Bell. This is certainly a watchable movie, but in a vacuum, removing all of the joy of seeing familiar faces and fantasizing about this fictional college basketball universe, is it really a quality film? The highest praise that I can muster is good, not great, highly memorable, but not highly impactful. I love the lore around this movie. You might even say that I'm quasi-obsessed with it. But even I can admit that it's unlikely to crack any American Film Institute list anytime in the future.
This clip was great. Hold up. Right here. He refused to miss. And it wasn't even scripted. He just kept making free throw after free throw. It was a brilliant conversation.
That it's unlikely to crack any American Film Institute lists anytime in the future. It is imperfect, but Blue Chips is among the best basketball movies ever made.
Yep.
I don't think that I would put it on top, but the realism of the play on court, the good not great performances from the cast, and the lasting cultural impact within the basketball world lead me to give it a 7.7
That's fair.
out of 10.
Yeah.
And let me know if you agree.
I think it's fair. First of all, I really like this
folks,
video.
I appreciate you watching, and if you like this video, click the like button and be sure to...
I don't even know if this is a a movie channel or a basketball channel, but that was good stuff. 7.7 or 7 out of 7. Yeah, man, I think it's right there because it's to me, I'm biased because I love basketball, so obviously I loved this movie, and I'm gonna watch it tonight, and I'm probably gonna love it all over again. And the nostalgic people who show up in there, I think that's actually going to help me enjoy it even more because a lot of these guys I haven't seen around in a long time, or I haven't seen them that young in a long time. So yeah, me, I would give it an 8, but if you don't like basketball, I would give it a 4. You know, if you're into college sports, I'd give it an 8 again. And I would just kind of grade it that way. But what did you guys think? I'm about ready to go lay down here and go get some rest. But what did you guys think of this one? Have you seen Blue Chips? And if you have you seen it as more recent? Did you see it in the theaters back when it came out like I did? And what did you guys think? Because I always felt like it was one of the most organic basketball movies ever. And it wasn't just about hooping. There was a big subplot in there about, kind of the corruption going on in college sports. And I thought it was a great movie. Nick Nolte was a fantastic lead. His acting was top notch. And I'm really glad that this one came out. Plus, we got to see Shaq and Penny play real NBA basketball together because of this movie. So it's really impactful. Anyways, I'm heading out for tonight, you guys. Stay healthy. Stay not sick, and be good to yourself, be good to your people, all the great stuff. Go watch this movie if you have an opportunity and you haven't yet, and comment down below what your thoughts are. We'll have a conversation about it like we always do. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. I appreciate you all very much. I will see you very soon. Peace out.